what I've been experiencing a bit in the States, various things about they really, really, really want us to fail in Africa. 100%. Black Americans.
I'm used to things happening on my time because I can try to force things to happen. But when you're collaborating in a B2B market and you're collaborating, trying to add value to others, and people have a say in their decision on how important you are, you're not as important as you think you are. And that's what I've also learned. I'm not as important as I think that I am.
Hi everyone, welcome to Uganda. My name is Janita Maya and this is the Repat Podcast. I'll let my co-hosts tell you who they are.
Master Gabs, Agaba Tumusime. Happy to be here, guys. What's up with you, O'Shea?
O'Shea Duke Jackson, Sacramento, California. Let's get into it.
Joan, before we begin,
Yes, please.
I know you're not expecting this.
Okay.
But I think I have a message that I'd like to share with the Uganda audience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, O'Shea and I, we've mentioned time and time again how he and I hold each other accountable on a lot of things, right?
Okay.
A lot of the time we have differences of opinion. I'm not afraid to pull him up on certain things that I don't agree with. And similarly, he is very right and welcome to pull me up on issues where he feels like I have stepped wrong or misspoken or he disagrees with my approach on certain things. And so recently we were having conversations about comments that can happen in casual conversation that one or the other may seem or deem to be offensive. And, it's been brought to my attention and clarified for me very directly that sometimes in my feeling free to express my opinions on this very program, I've said a number of things that people in the audience have found to be offensive. And I just wanted to clarify a couple of things in particular, right? By no means do I intend to inflame or infuriate members of the audience. I do find it to be a very comfortable environment for me to just feel free to express myself. But at the end of the day, this program is about informing, engaging, and uniting people, not dividing people.
Yes.
And so I never want to be a presence on this show that makes people feel alienated or attacked or undermined by any means. And so for all of you members out there in the viewing audience who feel as though some of the opinions that I shared in the past have offended you, have undermined who you feel like you are and what you represent, I offer my sincere apologies. I can't guarantee you that I won't ever say something offensive ever again, but I just want to understand that I do take accountability. And when somebody says something to me and brings it to my attention, I have to acknowledge it. And so I just wanted to lay that out there for the viewing audience to understand that I'm grateful for being welcome on this platform, and I don't take it for granted. I don't take this Uganda audience for granted or the opportunity that I have to share my voice and my opinions on here. I mean, you guys invited me in here. And so I never want to disrespect your house, and I never want to disrespect your viewers as well. So before we get into the topics of the day, I just thought I would clarify that, make my public appeal for forgiveness and consideration, and start afresh with the Uganda viewing audience, because I love y'all. I've really appreciated the positive feedback that I get from everybody, and I'm looking forward to discussing many, many more diverse, exciting, and provocative topics in the days, months, weeks, and years to come.
Yeah, that's amazing, Gabs. Well, thank you so much for saying that. We can see the comments. We can see that some people, I mean, everyone who's sitting here has probably said something that has, turned someone into something else in the comment section. So thank you for your apology.
For sure.
I hope that they receive it. I hope that they hear the apology. And I think to also speak on behalf of Uganda, we also don't mean to generalize when we sit here. It's just that everyone speaks from their experience. And I want to think it's common sense that it's if we say as a particular type of people are a certain way, we don't mean everyone. We just think, it's just to us, they are like that. I don't know if that makes sense. But I hope you receive the apology, and I don't know. send some super chats too. Yeah. So do you have anything to say about that before I jump into the video?
No, let's go ahead.
Okay, so this video is coming in from the African superstar Black. I love her. Please check out her channel. Let's react to this video.
You know, there is an anti-Black, anti-African movement, even among other diasporans, Black Americans, you know, that have this negative connotation of Africa. A lot of them have never been to Africa. A lot of them have never even traveled beyond the US. They don't want us to win. If we experience failures, it's like, ha ha ha, I told you so. People with these failed relationships, failed businesses, having to prematurely return back to the West, running out of money. You know, the list goes on. There are people ready to tell you, yeah, I told you so. That's why you can't make it happen. And so basically my message to my peers that have Africa plans, are in the middle of your African plan, planning it, living it, walking it out, don't give them the satisfaction.
Okay. So when I saw this particular part of her live, the two of you came to mind because you guys left the States and then you came to Uganda and you've made something for yourself. But did you feel some sort of resistance when you shared your plans that you were moving to Uganda?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So shout out to African superstar. She's a buddy of mine's. She mentioned Black Americans in particular, as far as being negative with people coming to Africa. I'm trying to, as the old preacher in the church, to say, you know, I'm trying to stay away from the bush, but I'm going to deal with that before I get into other things. In my opinion, you're going to have people that are negative about coming to Africa just for the reasons that you just don't understand what Africa is, or in let's be in particular African countries or whatever. My mom cried, didn't want me to come to Uganda. But then if what she's saying is so true, why do you have the year of return? Why is there so much marketing towards the African American community to come to Africa? Mm-hmm. I've talked to ministers in Uganda, people, you know, they want you to bring your group because I think largely they feel like they're receptive. So I don't know, you know, coming at African Americans or Black Americans as being the most negative people about coming to Africa is what's going to happen. I think that's just any country that people just maybe don't know about, even Brazil, even whatever. But yeah, that can happen. I would say the people, if you say don't go to Africa, the people who are most responsible for giving you an encouragement or not encouragement, let me say, are those people who are first generation in said country. You know, we have a lot of Africa's talented children across the diaspora.
Yeah.
And so when, first of all, when I went to medical school, what got me to want to come to Uganda or got me wanting to come to Africa was my meeting with two people, Abraham Diamande, who was from Ivory Coast, who was my roommate. And then there was Ni Adarabigbe, who I love very much. And that's how I got involved in Africa Day, which is why I wanted to do Africa Day in Uganda. So that was a positive experience. But I think that also if that person was negative toward the experience of his or her country, that could have also waned on me as saying, well, okay, I shouldn't go. Because a lot of us, I think, that have never been to Africa want to have some level of relationship. And depending on who we can meet and who can give us a yay or nay, that could also influence us. Now, yes, your parents or friends, you know, Africa does have a negative connotation because of what you see on the media. That's definitely true. But in your cities like DC, in New York City, in Philadelphia, in a lot of parts of the Eastern Corridor of the United States, neighborhoods in places are integrated. There's a lot of half African-American, half Caribbean. Look at Kai Cenat. I mean, he's an example of somebody that you would think is African-American, but he's Caribbean or something like that. So when you come across people that can really influence you about the country, it's based largely sometimes on their experience. And they're the ones that can help us get in. And this is not all their fault, but again, you're going to have people that hate on you or not. But you also have African immigrants who dislike their home country. Go on YouTube and type in Nigeria, Ghana, and you will find many people complaining about where they are from. So in the same light that she casts out African Americans that would hate for one reason, but if you get somebody that can tell you the truth about Africa, And that is somebody who has been. Because Walter Maya is one of the reasons why I wanted to come to Africa and talk about the opportunities. We don't know the opportunities that are there. I would not know an opportunity like Agaba or somebody like yourself. We don't know. First time I came to Uganda, I saw as many Land Rovers and Range Rovers as I saw in Warsaw, Poland. But I would not have known that. So I think it works both ways. The African-American community, or Black Americans, are those who've never been to Africa. The people who sell Africa to the world are going to be those who know the potential of Africa from the inside. And those are Africa diaspora, they're direct descendants. We're the old immigrant class, or the older diaspora. But Africa's newer diaspora is the ones that will be influencing the change in the culture. I believe you had a podcast on your show, but you're proud to be African. Well, then how do we know? Unless we know about what's going on the ground, and we don't know. So we're going to be, we've been brainwashed by, and not to make this an excuse, but a lot of the people in the older diaspora, the slave lineage, we're looking at what we see on the media too. But the people that can influence are those who have families who have been to Africa, and they are now our friends. And I think that's also another side of the discussion that we don't talk about a lot.
That's powerful right there. Gabs, what do you think?
I think what's important to understand about naysayers, right? Naysayers knows no nationality or cultural limitation.
Perfect.
One of my key experiences with people who are quick to, again, just be a naysayer, right? And when I say a naysayer is when a person who hears about what you want to do, or an idea that you have, an ambition that you are excited to pursue, immediately defaults to why it won't work, or why it's not a good idea, or encourages you to abandon that train of thought for something a little bit more conventional, something safer, something that they themselves understand to be possible or viable. The key part of that is what they understand.
There you go.
A lot of people default to having negative opinions about things that they just don't comprehend or understand, because no one can see your vision as clearly as you can.
Right.
Right?
Very good point.
The vision that O'Shea has is in 4K HD. If I can't see through his lens, I'm not going to understand and appreciate the approach that he's taking to get there. So I'll question him, I'll doubt him, and I'll misunderstand a lot of why he feels so excited and encouraged to pursue the path that he's taking. And so I've learned through my life experience that I can't expect everybody to see things through the lens that I have. So now going back to my experience when I was planning on leaving the United States to come here to Africa, to Uganda specifically, I wasn't really out there sharing my plans with too many people outside of my African community. I had friends who were, non-Africans, white Americans, African-American friends. And from their perspective, they responded with curiosity. They didn't respond offering an opinion on what was going to happen when I got here. They responded with questions about why was I doing it, and how excited was I about what was coming forward. Because they didn't know how to formulate an opinion about a place where they had never been, never heard of. Similarly, though, or rather conversely, on the other side of the coin, a lot of the friends in the Ugandan, Rwandan, the general African community that I grew up with, who were like me, were curious and fearful whether or not they had the same level of bravery or interest or excitement to take that same leap. Because we all grew up in the comfort zone of, American culture. And yes, while a number of us had visited many times and a number of us had encountered life here through a variety of short-term visits and experiences, or even those who had kind of left at a younger age, left Uganda and Rwanda at a younger age and come to the States, they had become Americanized in that way, where they identified themselves as being creatures of that environment primarily. And so they found themselves wondering, wow, can I do this? Would I be able to do that? Am I bold enough to take that step? So they were excited on my behalf to see what was going to come out of it. If anybody was thinking doubtful thoughts, they weren't vocalizing it to me. But then again, just based off of my character, I'm not the kind of person who invites you to say those types of things to me.
Did you have doubtful thoughts yourself?
Yes, I did, but ultimately, I'm not a risk-averse person. I had thoughts that I was willing to give myself the opportunity to succeed, but I wasn't afraid to fail.
Okay.
Because, fortunately for me, I have my MBA. I have my American education. I have my work experience. I have a family who is loving and would be willing to welcome me back with open arms and give me a safe landing spot. Should things fail over here, I was going to be able to come back and be comforted and welcomed back into a place that wasn't going to be a hard landing.
Right.
So, and they told me, yo, we're here if you need us.
Okay.
But I didn't come here with the expectation that I was going to fail.
So basically, you were not even really dependent on them. You wanted to just do it all on your own.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And foolishly, I came here with so much stubbornness about wanting to do it on my own that it made things difficult for me when I came here. Because I've told you stories about, the family connections that I have and the established lifestyle that, my parents enjoyed here before I arrived. So to plug into that would have been the easy thing. But I was very deliberate in wanting to avoid that and find my own way because I didn't want to do it as so-and-so's son.
Okay.
Garnering goodwill and favors because his old man and his family and his aunties and uncles were gifting him good opportunities that were given, not earned.
Right.
I wanted to get it out the mud as much as that made sense to try and do so. And it was difficult. It was hard as hell. But I'm stubborn, but also at the same time, I am self-assured enough to understand that, I've been through far worse than this. So this isn't going to break me. I'm going to get ahead and I'm going to move. But back to the point of people feeling like they find it good to celebrate, feel vindicated when somebody does fail.
Yeah.
I just go back to the statement of what I said before. Like, if somebody doesn't understand what you've got going on, if somebody doesn't understand your obsessive drive to try and achieve something that is different from what they've ever understood or what they've ever achieved before, you just kind of have to forgive them and give them the freedom to have their opinion, but don't let that pollute your belief in self to be able to achieve what it is that you're trying to do. And similarly, if they then celebrate and say, ha ha, I told you so after the fact, then you just have to dismiss that person as somebody who clearly doesn't have your best interests in mind, who isn't personally invested in helping you achieve success, or even if you haven't achieved success, rebound from failure. If somebody's gonna gloat in my face about my failure, that's a person whose voice, opinion, and presence in my life is no longer warranted, no longer welcome, no longer needed, and I will switch you off like a light switch. I will hit the mute button on you so fast. But that's just me and who I am. Not everybody has the ability to deal with that way. And a lot of it can be very damaging and emotionally hurtful when somebody who you thought was close to you or somebody whose opinion you really respect or value or whose approval that you crave expresses that towards you. So, to each their own, but I just try and block out the noise and focus on doing what I got to do.
The main thing I've gotten from the two of you, it's focusing on yourself and only you know your vision. You have to care about what other people say because at the end of the day, it's your life, and you should also be like a risk taker. Go out there and find out for yourself. People say, oh, you shouldn't go to Africa, but they've never left their couch. Their passport is still brand, like they've not traveled.
Or they don't even have a passport.
Give that opinion. So, it's better not to listen to Saship and then go out there and do it yourself.
But let me just interject because she did say something about Black Americans. Not to get back on that, but they've never been there. But then also, I know there's the disgruntled diaspora, which can be inclusive of all people who have failed, and then give their perspective to the other people via YouTube or Facebook or through conversations about how bad Africa is or whatever. But we can get back to that. Go, wait, sir, you gonna say?
Yeah. No, it was a question, but you can just finish it.
Yeah, I think also that is a very big possibility, because if you see, well, let me just say, a lot of the people that are interacting with African Americans, Ugandan Canadians, or like Nalumu or whatever, we interact with them via YouTube or whatever, Instagram. And so when somebody is having a hard time and they display that, then even if you were excited about coming, or they fail, and some people fail, some people move back. Yeah, people were doing very, very well, and then they fail, and then they document they fail, and some people may be unaccountable for that. So I guess my question is, when somebody fails, we don't really know exactly why, and there's really no blueprint of being successful in Uganda or Kenya or anything like that. So then, how do you take the advice? You have a lot of YouTubers in Gambia or Uganda or whatever. Like, what is your perspective of those people who have failed? They did it and then they failed. And then now they're talking about the country in a derogatory way. And you're a person or a person that could be from there. A person that could be successful in a new country. Like, I'm from this country. You shouldn't deal with it. Like, what would your response be to someone like that?
Go ahead.
I think that's a tough one for me because, again, I speak exclusively for myself, right? I've never been one to put too much value in somebody else's experiences that I wasn't there to witness or see or understand. It's one thing if you're presenting me with empirical evidence to say the reasons why you're going to be challenged in this environment are A, B, C. And these are things that are universally applicable to everybody.
Yeah.
But when you start talking about things that are emotional and opinion-based.
Can you give me an example?
For example, if I were to tell you that establishing a business in Uganda is difficult because there are a lot of regulatory hurdles that you have to jump over.
Right.
If you want to establish a manufacturing business, and I struggled to establish a manufacturing business because I had to get approval from the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. And then I had to get licensed in this area. And I had to get permits from this area. And navigating those hurdles was so difficult and challenging for me that it squashed my ambition and I eventually lost passion for the project, right? That's something that I can understand because you're calling out those specific things that I will inevitably have to encounter.
Okay.
It's another thing to say, I don't want to come. I hated doing business in Uganda because I got scammed and I got robbed and I had a bad business partner who I hated and I hated his or her guts. And I got into a relationship with a girl who worked at my company and I ended up screwing up my work-life balance because I was doing so many of these things that weren't really somebody's doing things that aren't necessarily guaranteed to be applicable to what I should look forward to experiencing while I'm there. You know what I'm saying? So those are the types of things. I hope I've made a good enough example, perfect. Right? When I see YouTubers and when I see online content creators showing their opinions of certain things, it's nice to see a firsthand report of somebody who's been there, done that, tried that. But again, until I see it firsthand,
right,
I can't give too much credence to what they're saying. I don't think it would stop me from wanting to try. That's for sure.
Right.
If you're going to tell me that there are certain dangerous elements of the lifestyle there that make it very risky and my health and safety would be an issue, then maybe those are the types of things that would make me want to give me cause for pause. But if you're just telling me that the going is going to be tough, then, fuck that. You are just weak. It's not going to stop me because I know I'm built different. Yeah. So it really depends situationally on what they're talking about, what they're describing. If it's like an objective difficulty that everybody's guaranteed to face, okay. But if it's subjective and it's you just lamenting about that which you went through because your circumstance didn't work out ideally for you, then you have to take that with a very, very healthy, dose of skepticism and figure out what you want to do after that.
To also respond to Shay, I think for such a situation, I think to me, I would take something like that with like a grain of salt. I can listen and note down what you did wrong and maybe try to avoid that, but that wouldn't have an impact on the decisions that I would make in the future.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to say, and obviously, I'm Like Gaba made an apology. I also had to do one in private, right? I have my subjective days, and that is something that it's good and bad everywhere, but in Uganda, let me just say, I have never lived in Kenya. For an example, in a 24-hour day, if I lived in Poland or if I lived in the United States, I would have 24 hours to access the things that I want to do in my day, as far as going to the gym. If I'm in the States or UK, grocery store, I have a lot more opportunity to do those things within the time allotted. When you're coming from a place that you can do such, you have more of the day in which you can fit in. But in Uganda, you have 1 or 2 appointments and your day is gone. That's it. They go by as fast. And then getting adjusted to that. Also, let me just say this. I don't know about Ghana, Nigeria, or other places in Anglophone Africa, but I probably would assume that the private sector may not be as merit-based as what you're used to. And so there, I think that for most people who are coming over an entrepreneurial journey, you're looking at, okay, I have something that I think I can offer to the economy. And then, you can always hear when things go bad, you just don't know the right people. That's one of the things I always hear. You don't know the right person. I think if I hear that, it's almost like this is Uganda, this is Africa, and you don't know the right people. So let me give suggestions for things that are kind of turning around for us. We just had a speed dating experience. We had our Kingana experience. And one of the things that I figured out, you don't know how merit-based a place is and you can't judge it, but you have to prove yourself. How would you be able to try to prove yourself? You should probably do things for free. That's what I would think. So to kind of get around, you would probably need to do that. You probably need to spend your own money even if your first visit to a country, you want to do business here. If you want to work with a hotel, if you want to work and show people what you can do, I would probably start there with just trying to do things for free, to try to make yourself, because people don't know that they need you. And I think that's why things are slowly turning around for us, because we have tried to do that. Yeah. And, you're going to have to fight that uphill battle somehow, right? And you're probably not going to be able to do it with connections because you don't have any. You're probably not going to be able to do it through middlemen. And I think when people go through that, they complain about, obviously, the regulations. And then getting into the private sector and showing the private sector what you can do and why you're viable to be there and why you should have a client base and why you should be somebody respected in that said industry. And so when you don't understand how the market works and you start failing, it's easy to blame. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Yeah. I do not like the Ugandan private sector that much as I love being here, what I do. The outside of what we do, I don't like dealing with it or interacting with it, largely because I think that whatever I'm doing, it doesn't happen when I would like it to happen. I feel like I've done enough of certain things that can happen fast enough. But hey, I'm not the decider of that, unfortunately. You need to be able to understand that. All that I can continue to try to do is to try to show why our company is what it is. And you know what? What we've seen is, hey, things are coming around 5 years later, but who knows how much time that's going to take. And I think that you need to factor that into your expectations. Mm-hmm. So you don't come and feel like you're going to kill it in the first 6 months or year. You could, but most likely you're not. Most likely people don't have a reason why they need to do business with you. For example, I'll give you an example of what a Gaba told me one day. Won't tell you the company. Gaba's an advisor to us and many people here in the country, in the diaspora. And there was a particular client that I wanted to work with. He said, listen, you need to call this lady up and you should ask to meet with her and take her on a dinner and talk to her about your ideas. I was livid when he suggested that. I wasn't mad at him, but the suggestion what he gave me didn't make any fucking sense to me. I called Julius and Zara. I said, listen, this is what he just said that I need to do. I understand what he's trying to say. Do you know what I've been trying to do for this particular client? What I have been doing for about a year or two, and they have given me no response, even though the execution has been great. does this make sense to you? He says, no, but it probably makes sense here. You know what I mean? So that recommendation, it does work. It's just the way things work here. It doesn't really matter about all the things that you felt you did. The situation is, are you ready to acclimate to how things are done here? And you can't not be willing to play ball, and then, things don't work out your way, and then you can be upset or frustrated, which has been what I've been guilty of to a certain degree. But eventually that situation did work out in another way. So I think that you need to understand, like, okay, what attitudes do I need to change? What do I need to do to adjust? And then who do I need to impress? Because you're new. No one cares about you or how you feel, And I think that people who don't come with that mindset are the ones that can become naysayers and I've become a naysayer before of the private sector for those reasons. Instead of thinking about what do these people want and how do they want it? How do we make it happen for them in the way that they can adjust it and digest it, or digest it? And then when I think about it in those terms and leaving my feelings aside, the experience becomes better for whoever you're dealing with and yourself. But I think so many people, whether they are native of here or they're British diaspora or Ugandan African Americans, they find themselves being, very frustrated when, you're doing all you can, but you're not doing it and some people will not tell you. They'll be like, oh, that's nice. Wow, that's great. Or thank you for this. And then the conversations go dead and nothing happens after that. But again, you have to know how to keep trying it, but you have to do it in a certain way. Yeah. And now I'm finally adjusting to, hey, how do they want to be delivered to? And at first I wasn't wanting to do that. Mm-hmm. But then I can't be mad when I'm not willing to do something that how a person wants it to be delivered or talk to or do a business deal with. And so that's the thing that you have to understand. It's hard to be so long-winded, but if your expectations are set in that way and you have somebody like an Agaba or Jonita or whatever can tell you how things should be done, then it can be easier for you if you want it to be. You talked about difficult of ease. You didn't want it to be. If you want to make your life hard here, trust me, you can get punished here. It can be difficult, but it doesn't have to be as difficult. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for that. I hope people are listening and learning. Speaking of failures, if the two of you don't mind, are there certain failures that you experienced when you came back here?
Wow, where do we begin?
If you don't mind sharing, obviously.
Where
just
do
to
we
encourage
begin?
people to know that you can fail and still bounce.
Do you want me to go first, or you're still going to think about it?
Go ahead.
I lost this entire business before. It was only me and Johnny that left. I've done terrible on Uganda. I mean, I've had to mature a lot and still struggling with levels. I'm very petty. You know what I mean? Like, and I can be very childlike, but I've lost the business. It almost closed. I've almost lost all my opportunities. I've blew big opportunities here because of my mouth. I mean, everything that you can do to self-sabotage yourself, I think I've done it, but I kind of had a bend but don't break attitude. And kind of when things don't go my way, I put myself in precarious positions. That's the truth, and still do to a certain degree. What I've learned is things that are great don't happen all the time on your time. And when you're used to being successful, which is what I've been in the last decade to a certain degree, I'm used to things happening on my time because I can try to force things to happen. But when you're collaborating in a B2B market and you're collaborating, trying to add value to others, and people have a say in their decision on how important you are, you're not as important as you think you are. And that's what I've also learned. I'm not as important as I think that I am. Even though I think that I'm good, it doesn't matter how good I think I am. It matters how good they think I am. Whoever you're working with is a decision maker in a collaboration, especially a multinational. So I think that I've had to adjust my attitude, how I deal with individuals, how I deal with people, looking to add value to people, and understanding that hey, I'm just here to give people what they want, and that's how I need to get what I want, and keep trying to figure out a way. Because I've had people that I've blocked, And then I'm now doing business with them again, and I'll block them, like, just going through those things. So I've made every mistake in the book that you don't have to make it if you listen to what I'm talking about. And I'm still going to make some more mistakes, but then again, understanding where I make the mistake and immediately try to rectify that behavior and try to do better. And people will work with you here. I'll be honest with you, man. Uganda is a great place. East African market is a great place. Nothing is difficult. But you got good people, great people here, great talents that will work with you, and they can help you, and they can help you become better than what you think it is. Because Uganda is much better now than what I ever thought it was going to be, and what it can do. The Pan-African dating show is, much better than what I ever thought it was. But you just got to be on that trajectory. I think it's just been a lot of self-development, and you're not just developing Africa. Africa is developing you. You're becoming a better person every day. So,
I mean, those were very insightful reflections, I think, from O'Shea.
Does it describe yourself too?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said, and I relate to a lot of what you said. I'll add to that this. One of the biggest failures that I experienced was this sobering realization that I overestimated the importance of book smarts and having degrees versus understanding culture and the environment that I was entering.
Right.
The mindset of the working person that I was trying to collaborate with, to employ, to basically whose hard work and effort I relied upon to make my business goals come true. Because it's not like I was a coder sitting at a computer creating an app that I could sell on my own. I was trying to establish a business that needed employees, that needed manpower, that needed people to work hard and strive to do the thing that was going to make my business money. And so I lacked the emotional intelligence, and I lacked the leadership awareness to understand how insisting that I know best was in fact putting people in a position where they weren't necessarily motivated to help me win. Right? Me telling you that I'm smarter than you and that I know better than you and that I understand shit in a perspective that is greater than anything that you'll ever acknowledge is not a recipe for success when the people that you're working with are just out here trying to feed their families on a day-to-day basis. Right? Working for you is less important to them than just taking home the money that I need to, buy my family food. I realize that the leadership failures that I experienced when I was early in the game of trying to build and operate a business and all of that stuff were what led me to understand the type of advice that I was giving O'Shea when I told him to take that lady out for dinner and buy her a meal and sit down and establish a rapport and a relationship with her, even though you've been hustling for 2 years to try and get this person to give you a business deal, because at the end of the day, it isn't a meritocracy. You aren't going to be evaluated based upon how good the business idea is or how good everything is on paper. It's about the relationship that you have with that person. It's about, can you invest your time and effort in helping that individual see the value that they can extract from helping you win. Right? And we talked about this before. So I won't go into too much depth about that, but it's about that. Business deals are made on the golf course. Business deals are made in a bar, right? All of you aspiring Ugandan business people out there who are trying to come here, pick up a golf club. Learn how to play golf. If you want to do big business, big business people who make big deals and make big decisions, learn how to play golf, right? If you want to conduct business in a bar, start watching Premier League soccer. Start watching La Liga. Start watching the Champions League. Get a favorite team. It doesn't have to be the other person's favorite team, but just as long as you can have a conversation with somebody, right? Start figuring out ways of being able to condone that type of small talk, that type of environment, that type of attitude, because trust me, it's not about how smart you are. It's not about how good the business opportunity is on the table, because there's always going to be half a dozen business opportunities that are on the table at any given time presented to them. It's about, do they feel most comfortable with you? And knowing that working with you is going to be my best chance of succeeding and achieving my goals. So that's the lesson in the leadership failure that I had first and foremost. And then the other thing, man, it was, I started a business with a guy who at that time was my best friend. We were brothers through and through, not blood related, but we were as close as.
Yeah.
And over the course of about 5 years or so, our relationship became strained and ultimately broke because of the fact that we were figuring out how to build and grow a business together in an arena that neither one of us were equipped for.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally, we weren't equipped for the strain that it was going to put on us as individuals, and it ended up dividing us.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to this day, his and my relationship isn't 100. You know what I mean? We've seen each other at funerals when, you know, we've lost family members that we love in common. We come together, we see each other, we give each other, you know, a temporary, you know, pass.
Mm-hmm.
And we have that mutual exchange that lets us know that, you know, we don't fucking hate each other, but at the end of the day, it's like we'll never be as close as we once were.
Right.
And that's a huge regret that I have. Like, I'm living with that shit to this day. I missed his wedding. I've never met his wife. I've never known his kid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we were the type of guys who would be the best man at each other's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that fell apart because we were navigating this harsh environment of entrepreneurship. So, you know, all of these are lessons learned, and ultimately things will come full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's your answer.
Well, let me just say one last thing.
Yes.
As far as me, you know, I lost a business before. I haven't had anybody quit since then, right? But again, thinking that you are, you know, intelligent and not realizing that life is about people. And if anybody that knows me, it's a big talking point of mine. You know, off camera, on camera, it's about people. And what I notice is that even though I'm not a Ugandan and I don't really know, you know, I'm kind of a hermit. So I may not know the different multifaceted cultures of Uganda because there's many here in the central area. But I try to understand people. And I think that this business has been successful because people want to be here. People want to see things grow. And I think this is because, you know, if I were to treat people a little bit differently, it wouldn't have happened like that. So that's so important, especially from coming into America, into an environment that you don't know. You know, in a country where, you know, if the person was in America, you might fire that person, but you're not there. And you need to have the emotional intelligence to know that, yeah, this person is developing and that person may be 19 or 20. They never had a real job before. So those things that you have to, you can only learn it by being here.
Yep. True.
We can talk about it. We can give a course on it if we wanted to, and it wouldn't matter because until you go through those emotions and understanding how to deal with people and how to deal with the many issues that you can definitely have here, but just treating people with respect has really went a long way for me. You know, I've left Uganda for a year at a time and you know, leave Joan or Rachel and nothing is missing. When I come back, you know, people say that I'm lucky to have who I have. Yes, I know that. But I'm also so lucky to have also grown to know that when you're dealing in the business will go as far as the people that are incentivized to help you.
Yeah.
Those who want to solve problems in the business. I don't even go to administration, but you know, we're on Slack now. I don't even know how to use Slack. You know, all these different things are happening because people want to, you know, incentivize and grow. So I think that those people coming from the States, whether you're from, you know, Uganda American community or Ugandan British or African American or Caribbean, whatever, understand that, you know, you're going to have to understand the culture of what you're dealing with of people, but know people in general. And the thing is, if you're good to people and people will help you, that's everywhere in the world. So that's the one thing that I've learned.
Yeah.
I like this. I like that.
Do you trust them?
Not to the podcast. I like that the podcast has taken this turn. I didn't expect it, but I mean, just listening to two.
You say that every podcast. That you
No. This time round.
Oh, so you were lying other times?
No, but I tell you all the time, I'm a student of life. I learn every time. Every time I watch the podcast, I'm learning something.
You watch it back?
Yeah, like
I watch myself.
Yeah, you're one of the most self-aggrandizing person.
Yeah.
But,
Bro, oh shit.
but no.
You know what you gonna say? Man, when's the King Gun Experience video coming out, man? I want to see how I looked on the video.
He looked good.
I wasn't even in that video enough, man.
You were on there more than I was.
Yeah, Gabs was. Well, he was the MC.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, we've come to the end of this episode, but let the people know where they can find you, Gabs.
You can follow me at Master Gabs on Instagram. I don't really tweet, so don't worry about that. And YouTube, the Allergic to Average podcast, Allergic to Average. We got some awesome content out right now.
Very good.
Great 2-part episode with legendary Ugandan entrepreneur Julius Chaze. For those of you who are interested in understanding the mindset of an emerging East African mogul, check it out. That's one that you definitely want to watch.
Yeah.
Don't mess with me at all, dog. Let's be real.
Also to note, Osha is wearing my match.
You guys want to buy it? How much you selling? Probably overpriced.
It's a $30K shirt. But we're dropping next month, August.
Only
First of August, we're
$100
dropping,
a shirt.
So please be on the lookout for that. It's amazing. Isn't the material great? Tell them.
Yes.
It's mad lux.
It's great. It's heavy.
Feels like a lot of goats die for this, you know?
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let us know what you think in the comment section, and follow us on our social media pages at King and the Nation. Follow me at Janita Maya. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.